welcome to the channel. I hope you're all well. Today we're going to tie a dry fly, and it is the Royal Wulff. The Royal Wulff has been around for nearly 100 years, and it was a derivative of the Royal Coachman. It's known as an attractor fly, and it's generally tied on quite large hooks from, say, a size 8 down to a 16. Today I'm going to tie it on a size 18. This is basically designed for small rivers, mountain streams, and it has proved very successful. I just want to recount a short story. With a Spanish chum, Miguel, I went off to a small river for a couple of hours fishing, and it was a bright sunny day, although it was quite fresh, which you might expect. It was the beginning of February. And I told Miguel that I decided to fish the dry dropper. And I got that look that people give you when they're querying your sanity. Anyway, I set up my tippet and put a size 20 nymph on the dropper and was gazing into my fly box, wondering which fly to put on, when Miguel pointed to this Royal Wulff. The decision was made, so I put on a size 14 and we walked down to the river. Now, unfortunately, there was a stiff downstream breeze, and with the dreaded canes behind me, it meant that I was having to cast off the backhand. You thought it was a good cast if it didn't end up in a heap, even though it might only be just a couple of rod lengths upstream. On 3 occasions in the clear water, I saw a trout come up from the depths and take the fly, which I found quite honestly exhilarating. Strangely, I didn't have one offer to the nymph. The point of this story is, as an attractor fly, it can surprise you, even on a mild winter's day. So let's get on with the tying. As I said, it's a size 18 and I'm using a 12/0 black thread. I'm going to start that just a little behind the eye and wind on the thread and trim up the excess. Now for the tail, I'm just going to use some hackle fibres. These are cock hackle fibres. Standard brown, red game or something of that nature, and tie those in. It's a little bit long, so I'll pull that back. And bind them down to the rear of the hook shank and trim off the excess. Right, the rear part of the body and the thorax area is peacock herl, so I will tear off a piece, one herl, and just find the weak part, and there it is, and tie that in. And bind down the rest towards the thorax area. And back down halfway and wind on the herl for the rear of the body. That is sufficient. Right, I'm now going to tie down the peacock herl so that I can put in the middle of the fly. And for the middle, I'm just going to use some standard 8/0 red thread. I'll just pull off a length of that and tie that in. And bind it down. And wind on the red center. Doesn't need to be too big. We are talking about a size 18. as long as it is clear. I think that is sufficient, and bind that down. I'm just spinning my bobbin because the thread was starting to open, and trim off the excess. I'm now going to bring the thread to the front of the peacock herl and wind on the thorax area. I think that is sufficient. And trim up the herl. Just tidy up. Right, now for the hackle, I'm just going to use this nick. It doesn't have to be anything super brilliant. I'm just trying to find a feather that is going to suit, and that is fine. I'm going to trim off at the bottom, get rid of the fluff, trim up the stalk, and tie it in. Trim up the excess and tidy up. Right, now for the wing, of course, there's all sorts of things you can use. I'm going to use some white CDC. I'm just going to tie that in with a couple of wraps, and then pull it down to the sort of length that I'm looking for, although it can be adjusted afterwards. I'll put one wrap behind there, and trim off the excess CDC. Tidy up. Right, now I'm going to wind on the hackle behind the wing, obviously. Just going to pull that forward just a little. A couple of wraps behind. And then to the front of the wing. It's just twisted, that's better. And just wrap over the thread, pull back these fibres, and tie off the hackle. Now to tie off the fly, I'm going to use a half hitch tool. Trim up the thread, and trim up the hackle. Okay, I'm going to put just a little bit of glue onto the knot. Make sure the eye is clear. finished fly. It's a fairly simple tying. I suppose you could argue it looks a little bit scruffy, but I promise you that it works, especially on these small mountain streams. If you want to trim up the height of the wing, you can do. If you like it shorter, like that. How easy is that tie? As I said, you can tie it bigger and smaller. This is a size 14, which I use for dry dropper, a size 16, and a size 18 as I've just tied. As I say, it's a great attractor fly. It should be in everybody's box. If not, tie some up, and I'm sure you'll find it a successful fly, especially in the circumstances that I have said, where it's a small stream or a mountain river. Give it a go. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for viewing. Bye.